Tatsumaki Shime. Got a gi top on the ground facing up. You can do this with a gi and with the props that I'm going to use or not. You probably don't need as many as that I'm going to use. I'm using them mostly for demonstrative purposes, but they're also fun to play with if you have them. All I'm using is a gi, something like a mop or a broom. Just going to push it through the arm on one side. And then I'm going to use mobility tool, a roller. This is a half size one. You can use a full size one, whatever you want. This is nice because it replicates the throat and neck very nicely and can even give you a sense of where the head is. Put it in the gi next to the bottom of the mop or the broom and just close the gi. You can also use a pillow, a firm pillow will work as well. I just really like this because it's cylindrical and it really is close to the shape of the neck. The main way we get into this is from facing someone, they throw a roundhouse punch, two-hand block, I go in, I sweep a sotogari, and turn and set up an armbar. There's a bunch of different ways we end up in this one. Pretty much any of our throws, after you throw them, you drop them, and they're kind of set up for an armbar. So you can do it from most any throw. It doesn't have to be from a roundhouse punch. Anytime you're setting up an armbar, Dayashi Hayanada, Ogoshi Hayanada, Seoi Hayanada. I can already even be on them like Teinada Jime, and I'm setting it up, and then I'm in position for the armbar. However you get there, we're in this position, either standing or squatting. I've got the arm between my legs, and I've got a hold of it. My shin's on the head, my shin's on the rib, or I'm standing and I can drop into that position either way. Starting from here. Our main version, our primary version that we practice is I step over with the foot closest to the head. I like to actually put my foot on the jawline and step down. What that's going to do is two things. One, it keeps them from rolling towards me, and it's going to weaken the shoulder here. As I'm pulling the shoulder up and pushing the head away from it, it's going to weaken this whole area and make the arm weaker. So I pull up, I step down, and I need to get my heel into the carotid on the side closest to the ground. The easiest way to do that without looking or without having to get down there and make sure that it's in is I just put my foot on the jawline, slide down, turn the head, and then step back. And then I know my heel should be right around where the carotid is. Again, I'm still pulling up this whole time. Got my heel in their carotid. I'll take a big step over with the leg, the other leg, the one closest to their feet. Big step and sit. As I step, it rolls them over. So the carotid's still against the neck, but instead of them being on the ground and me pushing it sideways, now they're facing me and they're lying on the back of my Achilles and my heel. And I'm gonna have a seat, put that counter pressure on. It's a little hard to get precise pressure on that carotid on the side that's up with the butt, but it's pretty hard to miss too because you've got a big surface area. So I'm just cinching that in and I'm putting counter pressure, if nothing else, on the other side. Cutting off the carotid on the back side, and then the counter pressure locks it in. Still got this arm locked in between my legs, squeezing, pushing against the inside leg of the other leg. Got a nice lock, hold, a break, and a strangulation. I usually, when I'm practicing this, either as Tori or Uke, make sure to tap twice, and I'll say what it is that I'm tapping for. A lot of times you'll step over and you'll get this arm bar, people will tap, and you didn't actually get the strangle, and you don't know that because you just moved on too quickly. Or vice versa, maybe they start getting a strangle, but you don't actually have the arm. So when I'm doing it, if it's me and I tap, I'll say strangle or elbow or both or whatever. So it's a nice way to make sure you're actually getting both parts of the technique, the strangle and the arm lock. The main way I get out of this one, again, I'm assuming that I've strangled them, they're unconscious. I'm going to stand up, the leg closest to their feet just steps over backwards over the head, and I can exit from the head. If you really want to be nasty or for whatever reason, let's say they had a weapon, you want to make sure you really disable that arm. Maybe they're holding a knife. As I keep the arm straight, I turn the wrist over to keep it locked, and instead of stepping all the way out, I just step onto the back of the elbow, and then I just step down through the elbow to break the arm to make sure to finish that off, especially, like I said, if they have a weapon. Another angle. Standing up my arm bar. Again, I'm pulling up. You can see how the shoulder comes off the ground a little bit as I step over. Put my foot on the jawline, slide down, and step back. Weakens the shoulder because I'm pulling one way, turning the face away from that side. Step down, and then I step back so that my heel is going into the carotid. Pulling up with the arm, I take a big step with the other foot, the one closest to their legs. See how it rolls up onto the back of my Achilles. Still have the heel against the carotid, and then I sit back. That puts a strangle on. Got the lock here, my knees are pushed together, pushing against the inside of the leg, closest to the legs. Got that lock or break, and strangle. Once they're unconscious, or once they've tapped, or maybe you didn't get the strangle, but you've got the arm and they're still wrestling around and have a weapon, you need to make sure to finish off this arm. Stand up, step out, step back through the elbow. Or simply step out and walk away from the head. Another version that we have is a standing version. I'm going to use the other foot to step over, the foot closest to the feet this time. Stepping over and dropping back into the throat, again trying to get the heel against the carotid. The other foot, instead of stepping over, I'm just going to kick the back of the neck, trying to really loosen them up. A nice shot to the occipital lobe. It's going to buy me a second, hopefully, of them being in shock, because I am standing in a somewhat awkward position. Get that slam, I throw them down, buys me a second, I step over, heel in the throat, kick in the back of the head. Then I just squat and drop my weight. My heel's on the carotid on the front side, my shin is on the carotid on the side that's facing up, which is a lot more precise than the butt. You can really get pressure on both sides of the carotid now. Still got that elbow pressed against the inside of my leg, lock or break, and strangle. Exit or exit. Other angle. Lifting that shoulder up, stepping over, striking into the throat, kicking into the back of the head. Squat to strangle. Step out to exit, break, or just exit. You could probably step over the opposite way, with the opposite foot first if you want. I actually sort of prefer that version. Instead of stepping over first, I like to kick the back of the head and then step over. The only problem with that one is if I kick them in the back of the head, I'm not controlling that shoulder and then kind of roll away from me, and then I might miss it altogether. It's nice to give me their back, I can do something else, but it makes it harder to do this technique. So even though I would in some ways prefer to kick here, to make sure I have good control, I step over this side first so they can't turn over too much. Then I kick and squat. And last variation, we're working on this right now as a part of the Shime flow. So you're going to do Tenada Shime, set up that arm bar, and roll back. They're going to try to counter by rolling up over my knees. You're trying to sit up and come over my knees to take the pressure off their elbow. Usually all you need to do is take that foot, snap across the neck, get them back down again, put the arm bar back on. Sometimes they're bigger than you or stronger, or maybe they just sat up too much, but you can't actually get them back down again. I'm still going to snap across the face, and I'm just going to roll all the way over on my belly. Get that reverse arm bar. The elbows pressed against my chest, basically doing a reverse bridge, looking up, bringing that with me. You can see how this isn't bending right now. It was just going to snap if I keep it attached to my chest. This is mostly an arm bar. I think it's potentially possible to still get the strangle in there. It's a little bit more awkward. But when I pull them up, I'm making sure that they're in nice and deep so that their throat is against the back of my knee. The trachea is in the back of the knee. My back of my quad is against the carotid on one side. My calf is against the carotid on the other. That way. Now to get the counter pressure is the hard part. The other foot I can put on the back of the neck and kind of squeeze. That's one option. can extend that leg all the way out, kind of lock my legs together and squeeze. Or once you've got that arm locked, you can do it with one leg. Just reach back with your foot and lock in that counter pressure. This is sort of like a variation of Kakato Shime from Judo, strangling with the back of the leg. That way. One other angle. Setting up Tenada Shime. I'm in nice and tight. I sit back. They're trying to get out of it. As I'm going back, they try to follow me and sit up. I'm not able to snap back down. I still snap my foot across the neck, and I turn all the way over. Got that arm bar. This is a really nice tight arm bar. Elbows against my chest. Just bridge up, reverse bridge up. You can see how the mops won't even bend that much. That's where that's going to go right through the elbow. Again, the strangle is going to be the hardest part of this, and usually you won't even have time to get there because people are going to tap on that elbow before you get there. But as I turn over, I'm still pulling up the arm up my body to make sure they're in nice and deep and that their throat is against the back of my knee. Then I either put my ankle against the back of the neck and squeeze, extend my legs and lock them, or reach back and grab and get that strangle that way. Tatsumaki Shime.